Hello and welcome to episode what episode is it? Oh my gosh. Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Jump King Challenge. This time you'll definitely hear new equalizer settings at the very least. And hopefully we'll also witness 60 wonderful falls that maybe only 59, and we'll get to the very end and we'll have a great, wonderful time. First up, I want to say, there was a bit of a break I did. That was a break both in video production and also of playing Jump King. As you can tell by that near fall. I haven't done any practice today at all, so this is a completely fresh playing from, instinctual epigenetic memory from how Jump King has changed me as a person. So we'll see if that works. So far it's working quite well, better than I expected, to be perfectly honest. But I just needed a break because of a lot of work stuff. Just way too much work had piled up, and I couldn't find the time to finish the end of the year video and also do Jump King videos at the same time. And I kind of had a bit of fatigue from that because it just ended up taking longer on the editing than I expected. Also because I tried a lot of new things in that video, which I hope you did notice, because I always try to incorporate some new elements, like today. It's this compressor equalizer change, which should really change how I sound. I want you to know that, if you like how this sounds, let me know in the comments. If you hate how this sounds this time, let me know as well, because I want to do some tweaking here and there. But this is currently one I did some monitoring on. And I thought it sounded fine, so I was like, okay, this is good, and it fixes some of the other issues with how I talk in general, bringing some of the volume back up to where it should be. We just had my first fall with almost 100 jumps, 75. We're gonna round that up quite a bit, but it's almost 100 jumps. It's pretty damn good. In any case, yeah, let me know about how you view these video things, or audio settings rather. I also hope that the end of the year video was successful for you. I enjoyed it, as I mentioned last time, and I'm really hopeful that the next two that I'm working on will be out soon. I still do have a lot going on, so it's not happening maybe as fast as I would like, but I do think that there will be these videos coming along. The scripts do slowly continue to be written, and I'm going to also have unscripted sections in there too because of some feedback I got from the recent video. As always, it's a growing challenge to keep improving, and I think that's honestly worth doing. I do a lot of improvising in my regular life anyway, so I think that that's not going to be the hardest. Oh. So there is a question that I failed to answer last time, and that question concerns ranking cheeses. So like the question from our favorite asker, our only asker of questions so far, from Julia W. Is what are my top 3 cheeses? And I think this is kind of an interesting question, because if you zoom back like 10 years, I would have said very different cheeses than I would say today. And that's because I moved. I used to live in the United States. I live in Germany now. And Germany is much more of a cheese culture to some extent. Sure, Americans love to slather everything with cheese, but we always are slathering everything with like nacho cheese or cheddar cheese, and these are pretty limited as far as their expression of interest. And I'm sure that's not everybody's experience, right? But I grew up pretty poor, and we were sticking with the basics. You know, we were not going crazy, going wild with brie or anything like that. So that said, I'm gonna kind of do 2 instead of 1. So I'll tell you first about my earlier experience. Also, never mind. I was gonna say, wow, we made some quick work of this, but we did not. Considering I just immediately fell. Yeah, you will wait here. I won't. I'm getting up there. So I'm first going to talk about American cheeses. Back in the day, I guess I would say my favorite cheese was probably what's called American Swiss cheese. American Swiss cheese is very different than any cheese that's probably actually made in Switzerland. I'm now very disillusioned from the fact that anything with the name of a country is almost definitely not from that country, nor resembles their food in any meaningful way. I say that because I've had delicious American pizzas that feature things like grilled hard-boiled eggs or like corn, stuff like that. It's very common in Germany to experience these kind of fake, not actually American things called American, and Swiss cheese is kind of like that too. So if I was thinking of the American list, Swiss cheese would be at top. In second, it would probably be blue cheese, like blue cheese dressing, which maybe we'll see on the German list in a moment. And that's obviously got more of a sour, kind of bitter taste to it. You know, it's more pungent too. It's used to eat with salad or with a bacon burger or something like that. And number 1, you can see I've kind of forgotten how to do this stuff because I never really knew how. Number 3, I guess I could say, in last place as far as the American ones are concerned. I guess it would be like pepper jack, which is a cheese that has, you know, little spicy peppers in it, basically, mixed in, for those who don't know. And I always just enjoyed it. I like the smoky kind, because there would be ones that kind of have that smoky taste. Always been a fan of that. And that's where I would have said things maybe 10 years ago. But coming to Germany changed a lot with cheese. Really, I've experienced way more kinds of cheese than I ever would have anticipated. From raclette to just different kinds of Gouda. You know, when I grew up, I think I only had probably young Goudas, most likely. And in Germany, you know, you're getting the whole family. You get the grandpa Gouda and the baby Gouda. So, and that's just a normal cheese. That's not counting things like Emmentaler, all the different kinds of more strong cheeses. Like I didn't really eat Camembert or Gorgonzola or things like these before either. Only 10 falls though. We're doing great. We're making good progress. And by good progress, I mean none at all. So now we're in Germany. And coming up with 3 for Germany is tough. And I think I would have a better time of it if I started from the top. But I'm not going to do that because with American cheese, I feel like nobody really cares what these preferences are. When it comes to German cheese, it's a bit different. Um, I I'll admit that I think this is a lot harder to say. Like, I would say that all of the I was about to scream, but then I didn't I didn't get a fall there. So I guess that helps a little bit. Why me? I'm hurt right now, guys. I'm feeling pain. I just heard some bird noises. I don't know if they're in game or in real life, so that was kind of freaky. What I wanted to say is American Swiss would still probably edge its way into like position 3 if I wasn't thinking of these as like totally separate worlds, and also the context of it, right? So really probably Americans was more like 4th for me. So we're not going to include it at all. But I wanted to like honorably mention it, that I think it still holds its own. I still think it's a good cheese. I think this mild, kind of nutty aspect is just like a great thing. I think Emmentaler is like the closest you can get to it in Germany, and I kind of like that, or like the not Tilster. There's another one though that tries to kind of reach those heights, doesn't quite manage for me. Yeah, I am just jumping in right at number 3 is Blauschimmelkäse, or as it would be translated, blue moldy cheese. And technically, blue cheese is the same thing to some extent, but just the profile, the kind of blue cheese, how it is used, are also different than in the US, and obviously the taste is too, which is why I wouldn't conflate these two. They have similarities, of course. They're both blue, they're both cheese, but Blauschimmelkäse, especially the very aged, the very mature, the very the milfy Blauschimmelkäse, that's the one that I'm after. I think that how I would describe it for those who don't know is that it's powerful, it's pungent, it has a huge amount of flavor. You could eat it alone on some bread. You probably wouldn't ever eat it on like a sandwich, because it will be too much flavor. You'll be overcome, unable to act, paralyzed in fear. And I think it's a great cheese. It's so great that when I'm falling, I don't even feel bad about it, because I'm praising something good. Okay, maybe I feel a little bad. I shouldn't even say anything, even as a joke. Like, that was crazy. So that would be position 3. You know, it was going swell, guys. It was going wonderful. But this time, it went downhill. I tilted a little bit. I have to work on that. Number 2, kind of hard in its own right, because I wanted to include a kind of typical cheese. I was like, number 2's got to be like old Gouda, and then I was thinking about it, and I'm like, yeah, but not really. Like, I'm not really big on that. I'm not really going, oh yeah, love me some old Gouda, in the same way that I do even for the American cheeses that I listed. And then I was like, well, what do I buy? And of course I do buy Blauschimmelkäse. And then I was thinking about raclette. And I was like, man, raclette is amazing. It's delicious. But would I put it above Blauschimmelkäse? No, I wouldn't. So I kept kind of thinking, because to me Blauschimmelkäse is like clear third place. I was like, there's no way that's number 2 or number 1. But then I was having this thing where I kept running into in my brain other cheeses that I thought were great. I had this really great garlic cheese from a special kind of cheese shop once that was really quite good. But still, it does not rival. But when I was thinking about raclette, melty cheese, I realized the answer is pretty similar. It's fondue. Which is actually Swiss cheese. So maybe in a way, the Swiss managed to sneak in a couple of times here. But I think that fondue, the one time I think I had it, maybe I've had it twice. It's just the best. Melted cheese, all of the good parts of like wine's taste without any of the alcohol, which is great for your sinuses. Like if you have sinus problems like me, you don't like to drink all that much because it has lasting impacts. Even if you may enjoy the taste of wine, as I do. So something like fondue has some of that, while also like combining other things I like. For example, I'm a bread lover. Big big carb guy here. I could never have done the Atkins diet. What I mean to say ultimately is that it's special, it's unique, and it has a very distinct flavor as well. I did a max jump there just a minute ago and it was fine, but I guess it's not right. Misplayed, guys. Misplayed. We're already at 37 jumps. Falls, not jumps. And we're struggling here. So number one definitely came as a surprise to me, because when I first experienced this cheese in I think a pasta dish, and I could smell it, and I was like, yikes. This, I'm good. I'm very happy to try basically new foods. Like that's not really ever been an issue for me once I became an adult. And I was a little nervous in this case, not gonna lie. I was a little bit like, I don't know. But gorgonzola, in pasta dishes in particular, but also really in any circumstance, is I think number one. It's even more spicy in a sense. not literally spicy, but it has that kind of spiced feeling. It has that extreme taste of Blauschimmelkäse, but it's stronger, it's better, it's more heightened, it's more impactful, I would say too. And I think it is one of my favorite. It is my favorite cheese. I shouldn't say one of my favorite. It is my favorite. Whenever I buy it, I have it with noodles or with different kinds of meat and things like this. And it's always a great, whether you kind of reduce it a bit, you use it as kind of a side piece to help a sauce get better, or you use it as essentially a main, just melted gorgonzola on something. I think it is just absolutely chef's kiss, delicious. It does come at the cost of its unpleasant smell. You've got to make sure that if you touch it at all, you have to wash your hands like 3 times. I'm not lying. But and in your apartment, of course, whatever you need to ventilate even more than you already need to. But I think it really is the standout. It is the best, and I would be happy to hear what you think about my cheese list, what you think about cheeses in general. I definitely know that like my cheese selection, my cheese taste, not for everybody. I'm not really focused on the mains, so to speak. And maybe it surprises people that I suggest something like fondue as a real option, but they're standouts to me. I hope that you share what you think in the comments, and of course ask more questions if you like hearing me ramble during these about these kind of questions, whether you want to talk about anything personal, anything random, you want to hear a story about something, you want to hear my take on something political, philosophy, whatever. I'm here for you. All right, so we're at 45. We're 3/4 of the way through this time, and we really haven't made progress. And I know that in a way, I am to blame. I did not get to practice this time. But I do think the lead up. I don't know what that was. That was just that was just straight up awful. I think the lead up is actually decent. This Great Frontier section, I know, plagues players, apparently including myself sometimes. But it is like Bargainburg. Like, it's an area where people struggle and struggle and struggle until it kind of locks. And for me, that struggle is happening today. But I think it will be like Bargainburg, right? Bargainburg has really, even in my, with my little hiatus here, there has been a pretty good track record of getting up to the top of Bargainburg, and also getting to the Great Frontier in general. It hasn't been that testing, I guess you could say. And I'm hoping the Great Frontier can also be that way, right? I'll admit I'm a little tempted to go into the New Game Plus every time we get here, though. But I try to resist that urge. I always kind of wonder, though, as I'm doing these parts, if I'm doing any of them like wrong objectively, like if there's like a better path or easier way. But I do think from trial and error that this is the correct climb, because it mostly works out. Like, the reason I'm overshooting that right now, in my opinion, is mainly just from the lack of practice. Because I know the idea, I know what I'm supposed to do. It usually works, but sometimes it just fails. And stuff like that bounced there. I just kind of had the impression that it might work, and it did, and I was super happy. But I do still wonder, is there other ways to kind of approach these problems? And I am not going to look. I'm going to experience that, much like you, through this disastrous trial and error. But we are making real progress, right? Although we haven't gotten farther along today, this is kind of like a beginning of the year adjustment phase. We need a little shock. We need to jump off those Christmas calories, and only then can I become the Jump King. I'm getting a little scared. 2 falls to go. I was gonna say I'm getting a little scared that I'm almost at the bottom there. Yeah. I'm so good. I would say my heart goes out to you, audience, who have witnessed this glorious moment. But now that phrase is probably like a Nazi thing, so that's kind of an L. Wow. I'm so happy that worked out. Ugh! I feel like I have a curse. I say things like that and then I fall. It's consistent. This is actually probably going to be shorter than last video unless I get my shit together. I lied to you. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of the Jump King Challenge 60 Falls. I am getting riled, I guess you could say. My jimmies have been rustled this time around. I welcome you to like, subscribe, share this series to any fellow sadists who enjoy watching grown man suffer. Thank you very much. Please comment too. Ask questions. Thank you.